Adam, fix your sound.
Do you not hear me well? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's okay?
Hey, Lon.
Hi, Lon.
Hi, Lon.
Hello.
So we have a double parsha. Of course, several times a year we have double parshiot to sort of fudge the calendar correctly and to allow us to finish the Torah in a timely manner by the time we get to Simchas Torah. So very often the same parshiot are doubled. Very often it's Bahar B'chukotai, Chukat Balak, which is where we are this Shabbat.
Does that mean that we're going to catch up with Israel now?
I believe now we will be caught up, yeah. And I believe the parsha after is Pinchas. So by Pinchas, we are one nation of Israel reading from the same parsha. So I'm going to play a little niggin that we find in Balak. Ma tovu lecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu lecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. So, of course, those words are very familiar from Berchot HaShachar every morning, and it's customary to say those words upon entering into a synagogue. So how fitting that we resumed live minions this week, and this is the verse that we find in this Shabbat's portion. And of course, the words mean Matovu Olecha Yaakov, how lovely are your tents, Jacob, which we will talk about in a bit more detail towards the end of the hour. So there's a lot of action to cover. Let me get the text up, and if I move too quickly, just tell me. But I've highlighted a few key parts. And the first is right at the beginning of Parshat Chukat. So just to put things into context, there's two biblical words that describe Jewish law. One is a chok, such as Chukat, right? The root of Chukat is chok. And the other one is mishpat. Both those, right? So we have the parsha Mishpatim in Vayikra, and we have the parsha of Chukat. So, what's the difference? Very simply, the Mishpatim are the laws that are logical, that make sense. Don't kill, don't steal, don't slander. These are laws that presumably human beings can come to on their own, or hopefully that they would come to on their own. Don't hurt each other. And the chukim, such as we'll find with the first law that we're about to take a look at, the chukim are the ones that don't make sense, that we do them because Hashem said. That would be something like tzitzit, which we spoke about last week, tefillin. There's no logical reason why we should do it. Hopefully we can each find a reason and we can each relate to it, but there's no reason given. Kosher, why don't we eat certain animals? The list goes on. And we find probably the most bizarre one this Shabbat, which talks about para aduma, the red heifer. So the parsha begins, Vaydaber Adonai Moshe lemor, just as most parshiot begin, Vaydaber, God says to Moshe to say, Zot chukat haTorah asher tziva Adonai lemor. This is the Chukat, this is the law of the Torah that Hashem has commanded to say, Daber el bnei Yisrael, speak to bnei Yisrael, Vikru elecha para aduma tmima, a perfect red heifer. Rashi says that the word tmima is attached to the aduma. that it's a perfect red. That this tamima doesn't mean perfect in the sense of blemish and things like that, because the pasuk goes on, asher ein bamum, that does not have a blemish, asher lo ala aleha ol, and that a yoke has not been placed upon its head. So a young red heifer, I'm not exactly sure what the yoke means, but I guess maybe if anyone has an idea what that is, but Rashi says that it means that it's a young red heifer that has no blemish, and that is a perfect red. So much so that if it had 2 black hairs, it would be deemed psula, it would be deemed inappropriate to use. So I also want to frame that the paraduma, we will learn, was the antidote to what we call tamemet, which is the impurity by way of being in touch with someone who is dead. And we've seen several cases in the past few weeks of people and situations where people were tamemet, they were in that category of being impure, and now the Torah is giving us the remedy. So we saw, for instance, Miriam, who had tsara'at, was also compared to someone who is tamemet, and that she had to leave the camps. And of course, we spoke about the 3 different camps that the Jews camped in. The innermost camp was the camp of the Shekhinah, of the divine presence. The second outer camp was for the tribe of Levi. And of course, we saw all the work that they were tasked to do. We have 2 with us tonight, at least 3 Levim tonight. Wow. And of course, the third camp for the rest of us, a festivus for the rest of us, Bnei Israel, most of the tribes were in that third camp. Someone who was tamemet, just by contact with a dead body, had to leave, was not allowed into the innermost camp. But someone who was tamemet, that had an affliction such as tsara'at, had to leave all 3. So now the Torah is going to teach us, how do we bring someone back? How do we rectify the tamemet? And of course, the Beit HaMikdash is not standing. This is all in past tense. We do not do this. We have no idea what the red heifer was or is. This is perhaps one day we will, but which is why it's important to learn. And but of course, we do not do this anymore. So you take the red heifer, verse 3, Unutatem otah el Elazar HaKohen, you give it to Elazar, who we know is Aharon's son. His father's the Kohen Gadol. His brother Itamar, we learned, was going to be in charge of all of the Ohel Moed work. And unfortunately, we also learned that his other 2 brothers got killed when they entered into the Holy of Holies with a foreign offering. So, Elazar, this is his task. Give it to Elazar, and he brings it to the outer edge of the camp, and it is to be slaughtered in front of him. So Rashi says that Elazar didn't have to slaughter it. He could find a shochet, he could take it to Bushri Shalom, but he had to observe. He was the mashkiach for that shchita, for that slaughter. Verse 4, V'lakach Elazar HaKohen midama betzba'o, and he takes the blood on his finger, V'hiza el nochach penei ohel moed midama sheva pe'amim, and he takes it to the entrance of the ohel moed, the tent of meeting, and sprinkles it 7 times. Of course, this is also the avodah, the service that takes place in the Beit HaMikdash on Yom Kippur. And again, we draw parallels always. And, I feel that these last 4 or 5 weeks, we have a lot of high holiday liturgy that we've been seeing in terms of slichot, in terms of Moshe begging Hashem for forgiveness. We see where our slichot service comes from. And when we get to the avodah service on Yom Kippur afternoon, when everyone is half unconscious and half baked and exhausted at about 2:00 in the afternoon, this is the service that we refer to. verse 5, V'sarav et hapara le'enav, and the cow, the heifer, is burnt, also in front of his eyes, et orav, et psara, vet dama, al pirsha yisrof. Everything gets burnt. The skin, the flesh, the blood, even the innards, everything gets burnt. V'lakach hakohen etz erez ve'ezovu shni tolat. The kohen, right? So we just said Elazar takes this sort of herbal mixture of, I'm not exactly sure if these English translations are accurate, but different woods, different weeds and things like that. Vishlich el toch srefat hapara, and he throws it into the fire that is burning the para aduma, the red cow. V'chibes b'gadav hakohen v'rachatz b'tzaro b'mayim, and he washes his garments and he washes his skin in the water. V'achar yavo el hamachaneh, and he comes back to the camp. V'tameh hakohen ad ha'arev, and he is still impure until evening. V'asoref otah yichabes b'gadav, the person who burns yichabes b'gadav and washes the clothes b'mayim, in the water. So the person who is involved with this ritual, if it's not only Elazar, also Rashi tells us that Elazar was sort of the mashkiach, but any kohen could do this, and anyone involved was also tameh ad ha'arev, impure until the evening. Verse 9, Ve'asaf ish tahor et efer hapara, and a pure person is to gather up the ashes of the para. So again, we burn this para. It's called an olah type of korban, where everything gets inflamed, gets torched. V'hiniach michutz lamachaneh, and he takes it to the outer edge of the camp, makom tahor, to a place that is pure. V'haita la'adat b'nei Yisrael lemishmeret lemei nida chatat hi. And it is for the Adat B'nai Yisrael, it is for the assembly of B'nai Yisrael to guard for the Mei Nida. The Mei Nida are the waters of purification. These were the waters that are used in all of the purification ceremonies. Chatati. So it is for the chatat, it is for the sacrifices that are dealing with sins, and this is where the kohen is to bring the ashes to the same place that is being guarded with the mei nida. Verse 10, V'chibes ha'osef et efer ha'para et begadav, and the person who gathers the ashes of the para, the chibes b'gadav, also washes his clothes, v'tameh ad ha'arev, and he is also impure until the evening. V'hayta livnei Yisrael v'lager hagar betocham lechukat olam, and this is going to be a chok, a law forever. So Rashi actually comments here that when the nations of the world come to you and they say, why are you following this bizarre rule? This is that pasuk, is because I'm saying this is a law for you forever. So this was like extra emphasis that this law is to be kept forever. So pretty bizarre rule. Any questions or comments? Just one comment is I'm drawing parallels between someone that is tamemet, so it's right shivat yamim, and this process also takes shivat yamim. So it seems to really be sort of this counterbalance to it. And another parallel that I drew was in the case of Miriam, when she speaks lashon hara against Moshe and against Tzipporah, Moshe's wife. She's inflicted with tzara'at, which has the same consequences as someone who is tamemet, and she also had to do this ritual of purification to be allowed back into the campsite. And for me, to do this type of thing is demonstrating ultimate faith. That, like, you really have to believe in what you're doing to burn a red cow. You make this potion with it, then you sprinkle it on your head. You got to wash all your things. You got to, like, leave your house. It's like, it's not such, it's not like you just take a pill and it's done. It's there's like a real process that is completely faith driven, and I find that that's the counterbalance. To speak lashon hara is almost the opposite of that, and so to come back from that sin, to come then rejoin the camp, to me, you have to show that extra faith to sort of come back even. So I mean, that's how I sort of like internalize why we do the most bizarre ritual.
I have a question. About the ger. Is this implying that both Israelites and strangers or resident aliens can carry out this ritual? They live together in the camp. What's the?
I mean, there's no doubt. It says "V'aytali bnei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'tocham," and the gerim. So they would be the receivers of this, but it's only the Kohen that performs the actual ritual,
Including the cleaning up?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Although I would think maybe Levim could perhaps help. No, Elliot? I can unmute. There you go.
Okay. It says here that a man, let's go back here. When the cow shall be burned with some the priest shall wash his garments and stuff. He who performed a man who was pure. That doesn't necessarily mean that
Right, verse 9. So any man could collect the ashes.
Correct. Shall gather up the ashes and deposit them outside the camp in a pure place.
Right.
Is that anybody?
Yeah.
Not any righteous man.
What is a pure man?
What is a pure? Okay. Can we find any today? All right, I'm going on mute.
Anyways, then the Torah speaks about different instances when you become tamemet, and I've opted to sort of skip those because I really want to get to a few key psukim for this evening. 1 to 12. Let me get the screen share back up, and we'll take a look. But again, even something like the red heifer, we can look at comment. We can look at different sources, and it's such a huge topic and such a debated topic, and so many reasons and so many different little interpretations about everything. That this is just the pshat level. This is the sort of literal translation that we're looking at, and perhaps next year when we come back to this parsha, having done this already, we will then go deeper. But I want to take a look at the next perek.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Before you go on, if you could just kind of summarize the steps, because I'm not really sure. I don't really understand the process. I mean, if somebody is impure because either they had leprosy or they touched a dead person, then the priest, I guess Eliezer, has to go and do this ritual. But does he do it? How does he do it for himself, or does he do it to the other person? I didn't quite see how that all fit together.
So the Kohen does it for the other person. So once the person is tamemet, they apparently have to leave the camp. So the Kohen does this process of first finding the cow, burning it. Now I would assume that they wouldn't find the red heifer all the time, so they perhaps had a stash of ashes when they would find a red heifer, and they would have to go to this person. They would have to themselves leave the camp and sprinkle it on them. I can just go back to the psukim. They would flash it in the hot pan and add these sort of etz, erez, vezov, cedar wood, and hyssop, and all different mixtures. And they would have to wash their clothes. But what's interesting is that then the Kohen becomes impure through that night. So even just being associated with this ceremony renders the Kohen, so much so that an Ish Tahor would then have to come and gather all of their clothes and take the sort of leftover ash to the Mei Nidah. Tammy, does that answer anything for you?
And then where does the unclean person fit into all of this? Because the priest does this, he becomes impure, and then does he sprinkle the ashes on the person who's unclean? And they're both impure until the evening?
Correct. Here, he shall cleanse himself with it, and on the third day and on the seventh day, then he shall be clean. If he fails to cleanse himself on the third and seventh day, he shall not be clean. So you had the option to do this on day 3 of being impure or day 7 of being impure.
Okay, and all the while you have to stay outside the camp.
Yes, I think until all through that evening as well. It seems like you're still impure until evening, and then you can rejoin the campsite.
Okay, but the priest is only impure for that day, where the person is impure for either 3 days or 7 days?
That's right. That's how I just understood that.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Okay, here we go again. More kvetching. Chapter 20, Pasuk Aleph. Vayavohu bnei Yisrael kol ha'eda midbar tzin b'chodesh harishon vayeshev ha'am b'kadesh. So, right, obviously, we're still journeying through the desert. Vatamat sham Miriam vatikaver sham. Miriam dies. Velo haya mayim la'eda, and there was no water. Vayikalu al Moshe v'al Aaron, and they gathered on Moshe and his brother Aharon. And of course, Vayikalu, we've seen it a few times. It means that they start rallying against Moshe and Aharon. So Midrash tells us that it was the merit of Miriam that a wellspring would follow the Jews through the desert, and they had access to fresh water. She dies, and the well dries up. And of course, we waste no time in getting to Kvetch and Vayikalu al Moshe v'al Aaron. Again, people rise up against Moshe and Aaron. Verse 3, Vayarev ha'am Moshe vayamru elav. And they're fighting with Moshe, and they say to him, Velu gavanu b'gvachenu lifnei Adonai. If only we perished, we died with Achenu. Right? We just saw last week's parsha. Was it 14,000 people died from Dever? Why didn't we die? And why did Hashem take us up from, again, the same complaint over and over again. Why did Hashem take us up from Egypt and bring us to this to this evil place, hazeh? Lo mekom zera. It's not a place of seeds, uteina v'gefen, figs and wine, rimon, pomegranates, umayim ein lishton. We have no water to drink. I saw a hand shoot up. You have a question? No. ויבוא משה ואהרון מפני הקהל אל פתח אוהל מועד, and they come in front of this assembly to the petach, to the door of Ohel Moed, of the tent of meeting, vayiplu al pneihem, like they do every time they daven for us, they fall on their faces. Vayera kvod Adonai alehem, and here comes Hashem and appears to them. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, and Hashem says to Moshe, Kach et hamateva kelet ha'eda ata v'aron achicha, take your staff and gather the Eidah, the assembly, you and your brother, v'dibartem el hasela lenehem v'natan memav, and you're going to speak to a rock, right? Famous story here. You're going to speak to the rock, lenehem v'natan memav, and it's going to give you water. Ve'otzeitan lahem mayim, and water is going to come out min hasela, from the rock, v'ishkita et ha'edah ve'et be'iram, and it's going to satiate all the entire Eidah and all of their animals. But we know what happens. Moshe takes the staff like Hashem commanded. Verse 10, Vayakilu Moshe ve'Aaron et hakahal, and they gather up the assembly el pnei hasel, in front of the rock. Vayomer lahem shimuna hamorim hamin hasela hazeh notzi lachem mayim. Listen up, everybody. Water is going to come out from this rock. Vayarem Moshe et yado. Moshe picks up his hand. Vayach et hasela, and he hits the rock. B'mateu pamayim, twice, not just once. My vision of him hitting the rock is always once, one hit. Pa'amayim, he hit it twice. Vayach, he hits the sela with his stick twice. Vayetzu mayim rabim, and a gush of water came out. Vatesht ha'edah uveiram, the entire assembly and their animals had water to drink. But verse 12, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe ve'Aaron, God says to Moshe ve'Aaron, Ya'an lo he'emantem bi lahakdisheni le'enei b'nei Yisrael. You did not believe in me, and that I was going to sanctify in front of the eyes of all of Bnei Israel, right? Lack of faith. Lachein, therefore, lo taviu et hakahal hazeh el haaretz asher natati lahem. Therefore, you will not be bringing this assembly to the land that I have given them. Pretty harsh. A huge blow to one of the greatest people, Jews, leaders, prophets of all time. Moshe Rabbeinu, of course, does not get to bring Bnei Israel. And does the time justify the crime? Does the crime justify the time? Right? So the only thing that I think of here, there's a famous Mishnah. Sorry, my wife was texting me. My son can't find his blankie. It's like disaster. So there's a famous story that when I'm trying to remember the author, I think it's Rambam, says that when we all get to the gates, and not to Sharei Tzion I'm talking about, well, to the ultimate gates of Tzion, and when we're all asked about our lives, right? Hashem's not going to ask, why weren't you like Moshe? Hashem's going to ask, why weren't you the best Adam, the best David, the best Linda? And that we're all judged on our own level. And Moshe was on such a level that for him to lose faith in Hashem and to not listen, And even as something as simple as speak to the rock, and he hit the rock. I mean, the poor guy, he's been almost killed 5 times in the last 5 weeks by these angry
Oh,
monsters that can't go, 10 yards without, complaining. I mean, think of the pressure. I'm sitting here with 4 past presidents, at least, even just think of like the pressure with the shul. Now imagine Bnei Israel in the desert going into Israel. Think of that pressure. So you can imagine people are dying of thirst. And he hits the rock. So unfortunately, right, Aharon too. It's also on Aharon. So the question perhaps is, Moshe hit the rock. Aharon didn't hit the rock. And I don't have an answer to that question. But the Torah can be harsh. Hashem could be harsh. The Charaf Hashem, when Hashem gets angry, it's tough.
great.
Any comments, questions, statements? Let's go on. I'm going to jump to verse 23. Chapter 20, verse 23. I'm sorry for the skipping, but really want to hit the highlights. ויאמר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון בהור ההר על גבול ארץ אדום לאמור. So Hashem says to Moshe and Aaron on Mount Hor, al gvul, on the border of Edom. יאסף אהרון אל עמיו, כי לא יבוא אל הארץ אשר נתתי לבני ישראל. Gather up Aharon, for he is not going to go into the land that I'm going to give to Bnei Israel. Al Hashem miritem et pi lemei miriva, because you disobeyed me by the mei miriva when it came to the water.
It wasn't him.
Well, guilty by association. I mean, I'm sure there's a law that if you're, he was what's it called, aiding and abetting, you know. Kach, verse 25. Kach et Aaron vet Elazar beno v'ha'al otam hor har. Take Aharon and his son Elazar and bring them up to the mountain. והפשט את אהרון את בגדיו והלבשתם את אלעזר בנו ואהרון יאסף ומת שם. You're going to take Aharon's clothes, meaning the clothes of the Kohen, והלבשתם את אלעזר, and you're going to clothe his son Elazar. Sort of a, passing of the mantle. Va'aron ye'asef umet sham, and there Aharon's going to be gathered, and he's going to die. I just want to check. I didn't notice that ye'asef. If there's a Rashi on verse 26. So Rashi comments on et begadav et bigdei kehuna gdola, the garments of the high priest. Hifshitam me'alav, he's going to put them onto his son.
Right.
I don't see anything about Yasef. No, Rashi doesn't comment about Yasef. Interesting. Verse 27, Vayas Moshe kasher tziva Hashem. Obviously Moshe, not so obviously because he just sort of disobeyed Hashem, but here he does it verbatim. Vayalu el hor hahar, he goes up to hor lenei kol ha'ida, in front of the entire Eda, in front of the entire people. Vayavshet Moshe et Aaron, and he takes the clothes, et begadav, vayalbesh otam et Elazar, and he puts them on Elazar. Vayamot Aaron sham berosh hahar. Aaron passes away at the top of the mountain. Vayered Moshe ve'Elazar min hahar, and Moshe and Elazar come down. Vayiru kol ha'ida ki gava Aharon. The entire assembly sees that Aharon had his last breath. Vayivku et Aharon shloshim yom, and they cried for Aharon 30 days. Kol Beit Yisrael, the entire Beit Yisrael, everyone cried for 30 days. Aharon, obviously a much beloved figure. He was someone that the Torah calls Ohev Shalom ve'Rodef Shalom. He was a lover of peace, and he would chase after peace. He was the one that would bring reconciliation between people, and obviously a much beloved figure for the entire Bnei Israel to cry for 30 days. So we see a generation is passing. Over the last few weeks, Hashem tells Bnei Israel that an entire generation is going to die in the desert. It's only the next generation is going to go into Israel. From Cheta Egel, from sin of the spies, from all the uprisings, punishment after punishment. The end result is an entire generation is dying in the desert. And now we see, including Moshe ve'Aaron and Miriam, the head leaders are also dying. And by the way, Rashi tells us this is happening. That we're now in year 40. This is like year 40 of our journey. And where the Torah goes on next is we go through different lands and we battle different people, and we come out victorious through faith in Hashem. People do not let us go through their lands. Ammon and Moab do not let us pass. And it's at least 4 different cases of Bnei Israel traveling through and coming to the king of a land and saying, may we pass through your lands. We won't do anything. We won't eat your food. We won't go into your towns. We just want to take the road right through. And again, the answer is not a chance. Some kings bring entire armies to their borders to show strength of force. And we're going to see one king has a different tactic. One king does attack. And we're going to move to chapter 22. Which is the opening parsha of the second parsha in our double feature, Balak. So we had just battled Emori, and we were victorious. And Balak is the king of Moab. Who do we know that comes from Moab? A very famous converts to Judaism from Moab.
Ruth. Yes. Yeah. Ruth.
So Balak is the king of Moab. Of course, news travels. All through our journey in the desert, news travels. People hear of what's going on. People hear that there's this people of Israel traveling through the desert with a cloud of glory by day and a fire by night, and spiritually impenetrable, militarily can't be defeated, and people try again, even though we do lose battles as well. Amalek certainly gives us a hard blow, and we lose people. But we have a reputation of being Am Hashem, a nation of God, and people fear us. And Balak and all of Moab hear us coming, and they're afraid. And Balak is going to try something else, and let's see what he has up his sleeve. And we're going to move a little bit fast. So, Pasuk Bet. Vayar Balak ben Tzipor et kol asher asa l'Yisrael ha'Emori. So Balak saw, not only did he hear, he saw what Bnei Yisrael just did to Emori. Vayagar Moab mipnei ha'am. Moab was scared. Me'od, very scared. Ki ravu, because they were so numerous. Vayakotz Moab mipnei Bnei Yisrael, and they're trembling. So it's not that we were so big in number. Rav Hu, I think, talks, and I think Rashi explains this. It's as if we were so numerous in that we were defeating all these enormous armies. Pasuk Dalet. Vayomer Moab el ziknei Midian. And Moab says to the elders of Midian, Atay lachachu hakahal et kol svivotenu kilchoch hashor. Et Yerek Hasadeh uvalak ben Tzipor melech leMoav ba'et hahi. This, they're gonna lick us up. They're gonna take us out like an ox eats grass. And Balak is king of Moab during this time. Pasuk Hey, Vaishlach malachim el Bilam, and he sends messengers to Bilam ben Beor, son of Beor Ptorah, which is by the Euphrates, Asher al Nar Eretz Bnei Amo, in the land of his ancestors, to call him lemor, to say, Hine am yatzam mitzrayim heina, hine chisa et ein haaretz, vehu yoshev mimuli. There's this nation that came out from Egypt, and and they're covered, and the ein haaretz is covered. They're hidden from earth. I think that he's saying here that there's this majestic quality to them. V'hu yoshev mimuli, and they're like right next door. Pasuk 6. V'ata lechana arali et ha'amazeh. You have to curse them for me. Ki atzum hu mimeni. They're too numerous for me. Ulai uchal nakeh bo v'agarshenu min haaretz. Maybe we can nakeh, we can like clean them out and chase them away from this land. Ki yadati et asher tevarech mevorach v'asher taor yu'ar. Because I know whoever you bless becomes blessed, and conversely, whoever you curse becomes cursed. So Balak sees that military might isn't doing it. Maybe I can meet them on a spiritual level. Of course, no doubt he had heard about Tamemet. He had heard that we had our spiritual, boo-boos, right? That we have certainly fallen spiritually. Miriam just died. Aharon just died. Two of our big spiritual leaders. Maybe Balak sees, now I can get them. Now I'm going to call Bilam, who's a very powerful prophet, and now I can get them. Pasuk 7, Vayalchu ziknei Moav v'ziknei Midian ksamim biyadam, and they went with ksamim, are like trinkets, like like the chest that the guy has, and he opens, he has all the potions and the medallions on that's ksamim biyadam, in their hands. Vayavo el Bilam, and they come to Bilam, vayidabru elav divrei Balak, and they tell him what Balak has said, and they say to him. And Bilam answers, Linu fa'alayla, rest here tonight. Vashivoti etchem davar, and I will answer you. Kasher yidaber Adonai elai, like Hashem speaks to me. Vayeshvu sarei Moav il Bilam, and the sarei Moav, the dignitaries, the officers of Moav, sat with Bilam, and he's telling them, hang out here one night. God's going to talk to me, and I will let you know. And Hashem does. Vayavo Elohim el Bilam. Hashem comes to Bilam, which is in itself a huge thing. There are prophets. Not only Bnei Israel has prophets. Proof right here in the Torah. Bilam is from Moab. Hashem's talking to him. Okay, good night, Jack. Laila Tov, Shabbat Shalom. Vayomer Bilam so Hashem comes to Bilam. Vayomer, who are these people? Mi anashim ha'elei imach. Vayomer Bilam. Of course, Hashem knows, but it's all about a person coming to their own conclusions, right? Pasuk 10. Vayomer Bilam el Elohim. Bilam says to God, Balak ben Tzipor, Melech Moab, Shalach Elai. These are messengers from Balak. הנה העם היוצא ממצרים ויחס את עין הארץ עתה לכנה קבע לי אותו אולי אוכל להילחם בו וגירשתיו. That there's this nation, I heard that they came up from Egypt, ויחס את עין הארץ, and they're covered by the eyes of the land. עתה לכנה, and now come, קבע לי אותו, אולי you can help me Lilachem bo, fight them v'gerashtiv and drive them away. Pasuk Yud Bet, number 12. Yomer Elohim al Bilam. God says to Bilam, Lo telech imahem. Do not go with them. Lo ta'or et ha'am ki baruchu. You are not going to curse this nation. Ki baruchu, because they are blessed. Vayakam Bilam babocher, and he gets up in the morning. Vayomer el sarei Balak. He says to the officers of Balak, Lechul artechem, go back to your lands. Ki me'en Hashem lititi lahaloch imachem. God does not let me go with you. Right, Bilam, honest prophet, spoke to God, gave the honest answer. Yudalit vayakumu sarei Moav v'yavo el Balak, and the officers come back to Balak. Vayomru me'ein Bilam halo imanu, and Bilam refuses to come with us. Vayosef od Balak. Balak gathers others. Shloach sarim rabim v'nichbadim me'ele. More numbers and more nichbadim, kavod, more respected people. So he sent like his next level, dignitaries back to Bilam. Vayavo el Bilam v'yamrulo, and they come, they say to Bilam, Ko amar Balak ben Tzipor. This is what Balak, son of Tzipor, says. Al na timana mehaloch elai. Please don't refuse. Come, please don't refuse me. Come. Ki kabed achabedcha me'od. I'm going to reward you with honor. V'chol asher tomar elai. Say anything you say to me, I'm going to do. Ulechana kavali et ha'amazeh. Only come and damn this people for me. Come curse this people for me. Yud Chet. Vayan Bilam vayomer el avdei Balak. And Bilam answers to the servants of Balak. Im yiten li Balak melo veto kesef v'zahav. Even if Balak would give me his house full of gold, full of silver and gold, lo uchal lavor et pi Adonai Elohai lasot ktana o gdola. I could not transgress the word of Hashem, my God, la'asot ktana. Even if it was a little or a big thing, I cannot go against my God. Again, really interesting. Elohai, my God. At least personally, I always think of Hashem like he's my God. He's the Jewish God. But that's not true. That's Hashem is God, and I happen to be a Jew. But he's God for everyone. So this is an important lesson to learn from Bilam. 19. Ve'ata shvuna bazeh gamatem alayla. Again, stay here overnight. Ve'da ma'yosef Hashem daber imi. And let me find out what God's going to say to me. Pasuk Kaf, number 20. Vayavo Elohim al Bilam layla ve'yomer lo im likol lecha ba'u anashim. If these men come to invite you, kum lech itam, okay, go with them. Ve'achet hadavar asher hadaber elecha oto taseh. But you're only going to say what I tell you to say. Chaf Aleph, number 21. Vayakom Bilam baboker ve'chavosh et atono. Bilam gets up in the morning and saddles up his donkey. Atono is actually the female donkey. Vayelech im sarei Moav. And he goes. Okay, Rashi comments actually. Why all of a sudden does Hashem let Bilam go? And it's because of this word, lecha. Hashem always gives us freedom of choice. Im likol lecha. If it calls to you to go, you have the right to go, because I'm not going to force your choice on you. If you think you're going to go because you're going to get some money, some parnasa, then go. Right? Hashem's not going to change what's going to happen, which is interesting because that's almost lack of freedom of choice. But it's that double-edged sword of how does Hashem know what's going to happen and we have freedom of choice? I don't know. But Rashi points out this word lecha, that it was for you, Bilam, that I don't need you to go. And I told you my answer, but if you need to go, go. And he dresses up his donkey in the morning, and he goes. Chaf bet 22, Vayicharaf Elohim ki holechu. Oh, but now we see Hashem is upset that he went. That's hilarious. Vayityatzeb malach Hashem bederech lesatan lo. And an angel of Hashem comes on the path to block him. He's riding his donkey. He has two younger people with him, right? Ne'arav, Sepharia here says servants, really doesn't mean servants. Na'ar is a youth. So he has two, so we're assuming that they were helpers, but again, the pshat, the literal translation that we always look at is Ne'arav actually means younger people. Vatere ha'oton et malach Hashem nitzav baderech v'charbo shlufa biyado. And the aton, the donkey, sees the angel of God standing on the road with a sword outstretched in his hand. Vatet ha'aton min haderech vatelech basadeh. And he goes off to the side and he goes onto the field. Vayach, again this word vayach, and he hits Bilam, vayach et ha'aton lehatota hadarech, and Bilam hits the donkey to get it back onto the road. Vayamod malach Hashem bimishol hakramim, gader mizeh v'gader mizeh. And the malach Hashem, the angel of Hashem, puts himself between kramim, a vineyard, gader mizeh v'gader mizeh. So between two fences, so again, blocking even the field. So the donkey goes on the field. Now the Malach Hashem goes onto the vineyard. So we now see the Sadeh from Pasuk 23 was a vineyard. And the angel positions itself that again, the donkey can't pass. Vatere ha'aton et Malach Hashem. The aton, the donkey sees Malach Hashem. Vatilachetz el hakir, and it goes to the wall. Vatilchatz et regel Bilam el hakir vayosef lehakota. And what happens? Bilam's leg gets sandwiched between the donkey and the wall, and he's hitting her again. Chavav 26. Vayosef malach Hashem avor, and again the malach Hashem moves vayamod b'makom tsar, and stationed itself in a narrow spot, asher ein derech lintot yamin u'shmol, that there was no room to pass the malach either to the left or the right. They can't go. Vatere ha'aton et malach Hashem, and the aton again sees the angel. Vatirbat tachat Bilam, and she goes down under Bilam. Vayichar af Bilam, and Bilam gets angry. Vayach et ha'aton b'makel, and he hits the aton with his stick. And what happens now? Again, a very famous story. Vayiftach Hashem et pi ha'aton. Hashem opens the mouth of the donkey. Vatomer leBilam, and starts talking to Bilam. Me'asiti lecha, which you'll hear in Israel all the time if you wrong someone. Ma'asiti lecha, what have I done to you that you hit me 3 times? Vayomer Bilam la'aton, Bilam says to the aton, Ki hitalalt bi Lu yesh cherev biyadi ki ata haragticha. You have made fun of me. If I had a cherev, if I had a sword in my hand, I'd kill you. Vatomer ha'aton Bilam, and the aton says to Bilam, Halo anochi atoncha sherachavta alai meodcha ad hayom hazeh. Am I not the donkey that you've been riding until today? Ha'asken hiskanti la'asot lecha ko. Have I done this to you before? Vayomer lo. And he answers no. Vayigal Hashem et enei Bilam vayar et malach Hashem nitzav baderech v'charbo shlufa biyado. And Hashem uncovers Bilam's eyes, and he sees the angel of God standing on the way, on the road, with the sword drawn in his hand. Vayikod vayishtachu le'apav. And Bilam bows down to his, right down to the ground. Right? Apav, af, is the nose. So really the nose right down to the ground. Vayomer elav malach Hashem says, Al mahi kita et atoncha zeh shlosh regalim. Why did you hit your donkey 3 times? Hine anochi yatzati lesatan ki yarat haderech lenegdi. And it's me that came to block you, ki yarat haderech lenagdi, because it is obnoxious to me. It is you on this derech, you on this road is offensive. Right? Why? Because Hashem told him not to go. So Hashem was possibly being passive aggressive. Fine, lecha, if you're gonna go, go, but I don't want you to. So now Hashem is upset. Lamed Gimel 33. Vatirani ha'aton vatit lefanai zeh shalosh regalim. And when the donkey saw me, she moved 3 times. Ulai nattata mipanai ki ata gam otcha haragti ve'ota hechayeti. And if she didn't do that, I would have killed you, and I would have let her live. Right? Don't forget that the Malach Hashem had a sword in his hand. Vayomer 34. Vayomer Bilam el Malach Hashem chatati. Chatati. I sinned. I'm sorry. Ki lo yadati ki ata nitzav likati. I did not know that you were blocking me, badarech, on this road. Ve'ata imra be'enecha ashuva li. And if I have done evil in your eyes, I will return. Vayomer Malach Hashem el Bilam. Malach Hashem says to Bilam, Lech im anashim. Go with these guys. Interesting that they say anashim, and before they were ne'arav, they were youth, and now of course anashim are more adult. Ve'efes et hadavar asher adaber elecha oto tedaber. But you say what I tell you to say. Vayelech Bilam im sarei Balak, and Bilam goes with the officers of Balak. It's 8:50, and I'm going to summarize a little bit because there is a verse that I want to get to. But let me just see. 23, verse 10. You know, there's only a few more that I wanted to do. You know, I'll just summarize. Okay, so Bilam comes to Balak. He arrives. Balak says, Bilam, I need your help. You're a prophet. I need you to curse Bnei Israel. Bilam says, this is what you got to do for me. You got to build me 7 altars. On each altar, I need a ram, and I think it's a ram and a bull, two animals. I'm not sure. You can check. And we're going to sacrifice this on all 7 altars. I'm going to listen to what Hashem says, and then I will curse them. Or I think he always says, I'll say what Hashem tells me to say. And they go up to Baal. Baal was an idol. It was Balak's god. I'm sure you've all heard of Baal. And they go up to Baal, who's on a hill, and they see the edge of the camp. They see Bnei Israel. And Bilam tries to curse, and of course, what comes out of his mouth? A blessing. Balak flips out. Can't believe what just happened. And in fact, doesn't get angry, but says, Bilam, I thought you're going to curse. Bilam says, I tried. Let's do it again. They go to another place. They do it, I think, 3 or 4 times. And each time Bilam comes to curse, what happens? V'nahafochu, it's flipped upside down, and these beautiful blessings come out of Bilam. Almost a paid spiritual assassin trying to come curse us ends up giving us some of the most beautiful poetry. And I urge you all to really take a look at the poetry. These words are found all over the place. And the words I want to end off on are the words that we began with. Let me just find it. Customary to say these words upon entering a shul. Many synagogues worldwide have them inscribed on top of the ark or on top of the doorway. Verse 5, chapter 24. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. This is in the opening pages of every siddur, of every denomination, every synagogue, every denomination. How beautiful, how nice are your tents, Yaakov, Jacob, of course, father of Israel, Mishkenotecha Israel, your dwellings, Israel, Knechalim nitayu kaganot ele nahar, like palm groves that stretch out, like gardens beside a river. Of course, because he's seeing this, right? He sees the tents. He's on the top of the hill looking. So he's just expressing what he's seeing. Like gardens beside a river, like aloes planted by Hashem, like cedars beside the water. Sounds like a beautiful, majestic image that we would see hanging in the Rembrandt Museum or something. Izal mayim midliya v'zaro b'mayim rabim. The bough drips with moisture. Their roots have abundant water. We were just complaining we had no water. Now we have abundant water. And their king shall rise above Agag, one of the mightiest kings of that region. And their kingdom, vatinaseh malchuto, their kingdom will be exalted. Words of praise, proof that Hashem, even though we've seen, I think this is our 5th week, every week we see thousands of people die because of rebellion and lack of faith in Hashem. And a few times Hashem even says, Moshe, I can wipe everybody out and I'll just start over with you. And of course, Moshe, our ultimate defender, pleads for us time and time again. And thank God Hashem is still with us, even when we think he's not or she's not. Hashem is still with us. So we're coming up to Devarim, where we're gonna see a different side of Moshe, and of course it ends, and then actually we'll see next week Pinchas. There's a very difficult story that ends this week's parsha. So perhaps I will leave the cliffhanger for next week. But there's a murder. There's a 1st-degree murder with intent to kill. That ends this week's parsha. Pinchas gets very upset about Bnei Israel taking the daughters of Moab as wives, and he does an act of terrorism, frankly, or an act of outrageous violence, and seemingly gets rewarded. And that's the end of Balak. And, of course, next week's parsha is named after him. But this is an overview of our double Torah portion this week. I'm going to end off... There was a little bit less music this week. I'm sorry, just because there was so much... The death of Aharon and Miriam, Moshe not being allowed into the land of Israel... the red heifer, and now, of course, Bilam. It's a lot to fit into an hour, but I think we did all right, everyone. מה טובו אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל מה טובו אוהליך יעקב משכנותיך ישראל. I hope everyone looks at those words and you'll see them you know, every shul you come into, every siddur you open, those words. And now we know where it comes from.
Adam, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Very
Thank you, Adam.
My pleasure.
See you tomorrow morning.
I'll be there 7:30 and then Shabbat tomorrow night. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
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 Okay.